Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Pervert Issei got harem. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Melons. Just melons. Maybe melons. Maybe. Those were the things Issei wanted to remember if he were to be reborn. Why would he be thinking this now? I'm glad I asked just to only answer the question myself. He was dying, that's why. And not like the dying from laughter. Or from shock that his favorite hentai manga was being discontinued. He was dying from being stabbed. Because apparently people die if they are killed. Go figure. Issei Haidu was dying on his first date ever. If he had any regrets worth mentioning, it's that he's still a virgin. How did this happen? Issei thought he and Yuma were having a good time. At least he thought that right before he was stabbed to death by Yuma in a slutty angel cosplay. Perhaps she was into some KNKY stuff. Issei was too, but he would have appreciated it without the part with him dying. Call Issei crazy, but he likes to be alive for any experience involving him. Crazy, right? Anyways, back to reality, Issei got stabbed by Yuma. Issei would ask his girlfriend why she freaking stabbed him in the chest, but she flew off already, leaving Issei to die alone. In a public park. At like 9 at night. Okay, how in the world did not one single person walk by us? I mean, it's not like it's that late at night and we were talking for more than a minute. Issei thought as he was dying. I can't believe it though, not only did no one stop by, but sweet, pure and innocent Yuma stabbed me, and now I am the dead. I wish some angel of sorts could bring me back to life. Just then a flyer Issei had gotten started to glow, and soon a beautiful woman with big melons and red hair appeared out of a portal of sorts. The woman looked around wondering where her contractor is. She knew it had to be the Issei guy, but she couldn't find him. Then a thought occurred to her, maybe Issei was ready to ambush her and attack her. So she carefully looked around for any hiding spots that Issei would be hiding. Once she found no one was there, she cautiously walked around looking for Issei. I mean, Issei had to be waiting for her. I mean, he somehow was able to identify the fallen angel from the other school students. Surely he had to know about her and her peerage, right? Well, she kept walking around looking for Issei until cough cough, blah, came out from Issei when he spat out some blood. Immediately Rius looked at the dead body and quickly thought, oh, there's Issei, he's just lying on the ground in pain from being stabbed to death. Wait, why is he dying? Rius ran and knelt to Issei's side to check if he was alive. Luckily Rius got there in time. Maybe dying was a part of Issei's plan, but why? She pondered on this thought for a second and then realized, oh, he wants to be of my peerage, that's probably it. Rius pulled out a chess piece and began to say something. Okay, since death is upon you, I'll dash. Blah, came out from Issei, cutting off Rius, when he spat out some blood again. The blood got on Rius' uniform and face. It took her a while to realize what had just happened, but when she did, she slowly wiped the blood off and tried to remain calm. As I sang, since death is upon you, Rius said before continuing, just in case Issei would spit blood onto her again. When she realized he wasn't going to do it again, she continued, I'll glady t dash. Blah, came out from Issei, cutting off Rius, when he spat out some blood again, making Rius' patience die out. Oxen cediathus upon you, I'll take you in. Rius quickly shouted so Issei wouldn't spit blood on her again. So Rius placed a chess piece known as a pawn onto Issei. It was absorbed, making Rius happy. Until it got rejected and left Issei's body. What was it, king? Rius thought as she realized her blunder. Issei probably needs more than one pawn to be reincarnated. She then proceeded to pull out 2 more pawns and repeated the procedure. It got rejected again. So she tried another. And another. And another. And another, all getting rejected each time. Meanwhile Issei was still bleeding out. Okay, sighed Rius. These are all my pawn pieces. If this doesn't revive you, Issei, I don't know what will. Rius placed the pieces and finally it wasn't rejected. Finally it's over dash, Rius thought, until Issei spewed more blood on, thus making it truly over. XXX lazy transition sex. Wake up or I'll chop you to bits, came a girl wielding a chainsaw inside Issei's digital clock. Which made Issei instantly wake up. Diamond's stupid clock, Issei muttered, getting up from his bed. It always gives me the dumbest dreams, and they're not even wet dreams. Wait, was that a dream? Issei asked as he tried to recall everything that happened yesterday. All he remembered that wasn't part of the dream was asking Yuma out and hanging out with his friends. Well, now thinking on it, one of those things seems very odd actually happening, so Issei decided to ask his friends as soon as he can at school. XXX lazy transition sex. Nope, didn't happen. Are you high? Were the responses that came from his friends. Are you guys sure? Issei questioned. I'm pretty sure I have her in my contacts. It's not here. Like we said, we don't remember meeting this Yuma person, and there's also no chance in hell you'd ever get a girlfriend through just randomly asking someone. Matsuda explained. Thanks guys, I now know how much belief you have in me, grumbled a slightly irritated Issei. Issei, Motohama began as he put a hand on his shoulder. It's fine if you are doing drags, but you gotta know the difference between real and illusions. I'm not on drags, jackass, yelled an angry Issei. As soon as Issei had finished yelling, Rius had went down the stairs that the perverted trio was using. The trio quickly looked at the red-haired beauty and Rius looked back at them, or more specifically, Issei. If Issei knew better, he would have taken that look as a follow me look. Too bad he knows jack shit and he just stayed there with his friends. Hey, maybe all you need is a good old-fashioned pawn movie, and I got just the thing. Motohama proclaimed. I don't know, man, I don't think I want to, answered Issei, who was still thinking about Yuma. What? A surprised Motohama yelled. How can you say that? Why don't you want to watch Pawn with us? I think he'd rather be doing it than watch a porno with you two versions, came from a voice that made Issei die a little inside. Oh no, not you, cried Issei, who was hoping this too was a dream. Oh, look at the time, looks like we gotta go, right, Matsuda? You're absolutely right, Motohama, let's go. Hey, wait, don't leave me with her, you assholes. Sorry. Issei, our hands are tied, it's not like we can watch Pawn at any time we want. Yes, you can, you assholes. That's literally why you get the Pawn on a DVD. You just don't want her sizing up your junk again. I'm sorry, Issei, we can't hear you, sorry, we'll talk tomorrow, came from a Motohama, trying to leave as quickly as possible. Guys, don't leave me with her, I'm begging you, pleaded Issei. Bye, Issei, waved Matsuda, and like that his friends were gone. So, Issei, the girl started to say, and also getting closer to Issei. Did you miss me? Because I sure missed you. Ugh, shuddered Issei. Look, Aika, I'm not in the mood, right? Huh, you aren't? Aika queried worryingly. Is everything all right? Do I need to mail you more of my panties to your house again? Please don't, begged Issei. I have too many of them already and I can't even find time to get rid of them. Don't say that, Issei, Aika cried crocodile tears. Or do you want to break a maiden's heart? No, I don't, but I don't see a maiden talking to me, do you? Retorted Issei. This made Aika fake cry even more. How can you say that? Aika croaked. After all the nights we've spent together. Nights? Issei repeated. What nights? You've never even been to my house before. Come to think of it, if you never been to my house, how do you know my address? Don't sweat the details, Aika brushed off. It's not that important anyways. I beg to differ, yelled Issei. Please, darling, control your voice, we're in public, pleaded Aika, who shifted her personality to that of a housewife's. Huh, what are you talking, dash? Issei started to say until he realized that a small crowd was circling around Issei and Aika. It soon started to evaporate as Issei noticed them, but he still heard some of the whispers they were speaking. Whoa, what type of relationship do those two even have? One guy asked another. It's hard to even think that Issei has a relationship of sorts with a girl of any kind. A girl said. Man, they sure know how to cause a scene, don't they? Another guy comments. This thing doesn't surprise me anymore if it's the perverted couple, one girl says. Perverted couple. That was a title Issei liked as much as he liked the idea of a world without BRT. That is to say, he hated it. While Issei was a pervert to an extent, he had a limit. You wouldn't be able to find it, but he had one. Whereas Aika had no limits to her perversion, doesn't matter who she was talking to, no matter what. So right there was a problem with the perverted couple title. The main reason why Issei hated it was that it happened on an accident. It happened on one of the perverted trio outings, where they almost got caught with the exception of Issei. While Motohama and Matsuda made it unscathed, Issei bumped into Aika, making them both fall on the ground and also making it look like they were doing something inappropriate. One girl found the two and then spread the rumor round the school. If that wasn't bad for Issei that day, he lost his wallet along the way. And since the accident, Aika tries to follow Issei wherever he goes for a reason that escapes Issei's mind. Issei didn't mind at first, but when she started whispering some RDC literature into his ear during the third day of hanging out, he kinda tried to distance himself from her. Huh, Issei, are you remembering our first time together as well? Aika asked, drawing Issei away from his thoughts. I remember it well, it was a rainy day dash. And then you woke up, yes I remember. Interrupted Issei and began to walk outside of school. Now if you excuse me, I'm gonna go home. Oh, can I walk with you? Aika asks with excitement. Let's see, no. Unluckily for Issei, Aika wasn't paying attention to him. Come on, let's go already, dear. Don't you know what no means? Maybe you can teach me at your place. You can also teach me much more if you want. Aika said with a lecherous smirk. Maybe I can teach you what a restraining order is, retorted Issei as he walked a bit faster, almost reaching the school gate. Finally he would get off of school grounds and it'd be easier for Issei to escape the grasp of Aika. He was almost there and, Hey Issei, stop right there, announced a voice that wasn't Aika's. Sheet, Issei thought. He was so close to. Issei sighed and turned toward the owner of the voice, who Issei was surprised that it was Katsu's voice. Kates? What do you want with my darling? Aika questioned as he rushed to Issei's side. I'm not your darling, Issei told Aika. Anyways, Issei, began Katsu. I challenge you to a rematch. I underestimated you last time, this time I won't. So that little battle against Katsu still happened? Good to know I wasn't dreaming all of the last 2 days, Issei thought. Sorry, but I have to decline on the rematch. I'm not in the mood to fight against you and I have no reason to. I'll give you back your pawn mags the kendo team confiscated last month. Katsu coaxed. It's on beach. And with that, Katsu guided Aika and Issei to the kendo room. Sorry, it's not being used today, so the lights aren't on right now, apologized Katsu as she was opening the doors. When Issei went inside, it startled him. Hey, what gives, Katsu? I thought you said the lights aren't on? So why are they? Issei wondered. What do you mean, Issei, the lights aren't on right now? Yeah, dear, what are you talking about? The lights are off. What? That can't be right. The room right now is certainly bright right now. Are you okay, Issei? If you aren't well, you're gonna have to SCK it up, informed Katsu. She actually hoped he was not feeling good. Don't judge her though, she was sure whatever Issei was going through wasn't going to change his life whatsoever. And it's not like she should show that pervert sympathy anyways. If you aren't fine, you can rest between my melons if you want, offered Aika. Aika was worried a bit for Issei. Not just because she wants his D, but that wasn't not the main reason. Or maybe it really isn't lighten up, but how can I see this room as if it were lit? Pondered Issei until he thought of a reason. Could it be I'm the chosen one, granted the power of sight in order to get a harem full of beautiful gals? Nah, that's not true. But if you can make that happen, I'd appreciate that, God. Ow. As soon as Issei thought the word God, his head received an immense amount of pain, making him flinch. Issei! Both girls yelled, worried for the pervert but for different reasons. Katsu was worried in case he would fall down and faint. Aika was worried that his head wasn't the only thing hurting. Before either one could ask what was wrong, Issei dashed out of the room. Hey, wait, Issei, get your butt back here or else, Katsu ordered, bossily, just showing how much she cares about that lovable idiot. Issei ran and kept running and ran some more and a little farther, then he ran a lot farther and he started to walk for a bit but then proceeded to run some more. He stopped to realize that this sentence was a run-on sentence, so he ran some more and he kept running until he reached the beginning of a dark alley. What's going on? Why does it hurt to say the big man upstairs, and why can I see light in dark places now? Issei's trains of thought came to an abrupt stop when he heard a young girl's cry who was all the way on the other side. But I want it and all my friends have it, Mom. The girl pleaded. If you friends all had cane, would you want to have it? The mother responded. I don't know what that is, but probably, The girl responded with a goofy grin, making the mother sigh. No wonder people think you're adopted, the woman muttered as she pulled the girl away from what she wanted. How did I hear so clearly when they were so far away, and why am I only realizing this just now? Issei thought, and he ran some more to where this chapter began. The fountain place thing. I remember this place. This is the place where I was with Yuma and she wanted to tell me something. She turned into some magical girl-like thing, then she. Maybe Motohama was right, I was high. I mean, there's no way that was true at all, right? Just then a man in a trench coat appeared out of nowhere. This really is unfortunate, he said. Issei started to say but was cut off by the man in the trench coat. For you, I mean, now I have to kills ya. The man pulls a spear made out of light. Issei was a smart kid. Scratch that one part out. Issei was a kid. He knew when to run away like a beach. This was one of those times. So Issei went as fast as he could, and he knew there's no way trench coat guy could catch up to him. Until he saw feathers. You do know I can fly, right? The guy says. Damn it, Issei thought as he stopped running. I gotta beat this guy, but how and with what? Issei looked around. Damn it, Issei thought as he stopped running. I gotta beat this guy, but how and with what? Issei looked around to find a stick of sorts. He looked at the stick for a second or two and then grabbed it. Upon seeing this, the trench coat dude laughed and landed on the ground. You really are going to fight me with that? He laughed. You might as well be fighting me with your Issei hit him with the stick, making the mysterious man hold his hand in pain. I think this makes a good weapon, don't you? Issei asked rhetorically with a cocky grin on his face. You think that can stop me, idiot? The Deech said. Who dies from one hit? Who even can make a strong enough hit for that? With that, Issei was stabbed by the trench coat a-hole and fainted. But he woke up. With a hot red hair in his bed. Issei was a liar. He almost never told her the truth, she knew that, but it's not like she was better with her truth. In fact, Issei would never know who she actually was or the reason why she accepted to go on a date with him. Don't get her wrong though, she didn't hate the fact about Issei lying. No, in reality she felt bad that Issei lied. If only she could apologize to him for having to lie to her, but she can't. Because Issei Hayadu is dead, and she was the one to kill him. Her name is Rainier, and she is a fallen angel. Do you know what an angel is? That's what Rainier is, but fallen. By the way, angels exist. Just thought you should know. Don't mind them though, they won't be important until way later on. Also, devils are real. Angels are the goody two-shoes. They're cool when you're 8, but then once you grow older. Anyways, a fallen angel is basically like every neutral faction of any game with moral compass. Nobody likes them. Devils are where all the cool people are. You think that's a joke, but it isn't. So why am I telling you about these 3 factions? Felt like a good opportunity. So Rainier is a fallen angel. What do fallen angels do? Well, they do whatever higher up fallen angels tell them to do. Like for example, Rainier's mission, that was assigned by the leader himself, was to observe Issei. To make sure Issei's power remained dormant. Rainier didn't really care much about this boy she was supposed to look after. But she wanted to make her leader proud, so she was going to observe this boy the best she could. She did that until she reached a problem. She needed to make sure that Issei's power wouldn't emerge, but she couldn't go to school with demon spawns in the schools. That wasn't really an insult, they really are devils in that school. The point being that she had to tread lightly when going to that school. To her luck, she didn't need to even start a conversation with her target, he did that for her. Now sure, Rainier was scared and curious of Issei and why he asked her out on a date. Then after she stalk observed him, she realized he was just trying to win a bet with his friends. So knowing this, she thought Issei was just going to be that guy who just looks at her cleavage. Well, surprising to say, she was wrong as she observed him more. Issei wanted to make this date special, although his intentions weren't pure. Issei still tried, in fact he tried too hard. Not as an annoying way, no, like he tried so hard to lose his virginity, which Rainier admitted was kinda cute in a way. Still creepy when he would mutter his plans though. Rainier knew Issei had $50 because she observed him. She knew Issei only had that much, and yet he still went out of his way to make sure Rainier would have the best time ever. This is where Issei lied to her. Issei for most of his night was selling pawn mags to people. Let's just leave it at he got enough money to buy flowers but not enough for a fancy restaurant, even with a discount. So what Issei did for that is sell his old kendo gear and trophies, and then he almost had enough. Issei spent the rest of the night before the date looking for more money. Issei only got 1 hour of sleep before the date. It would have been 2, but Issei had to tend to little Issei. And at that time Rainier thought that maybe she might be observing Issei a bit too much. But she can't help but cherish those memories because Issei is dead and there's nothing that Rainier can remember right now that could bring Issei back to life. Absolutely. No the. XXX lazy transition sex. Melons, Issei thought as he looked at the majestic pair in front of him. I get it now, it was the power of melons that brought me back to life, of course, it was so obvious. There was nowhere Issei was wrong about this. No way at all. At first he thought it might be some other magical force, but no, Issei knew it just had to be melons. There's only one way for Issei to make absolutely sure. Before you judge him, let it be known it was a 100% obligation. If Issei could have it any other way, he wouldn't. Issei needed to touch the 2 perfectly shaped majestic melons, not for his sake but the world's. Right, the world's. So Issei put forth both of his hands and got ready in massage dem ties mode. He was just inches away and he was about to jerk the sheet. Abort. I repeat, abort, mission has been compromised. Quick, Issei, act like a generic anime harem protagonist and be as dense as hell for no reason but to make the show go longer without a girl being chosen. And Issei did just that. He also made sure to stutter a lot too. Good morning, greeted the naked girl who Issei could identify was Rius, but his mind was still in the OH sheet mode. Why you're naked? Issei stuttered in pure shock. You're naked too, you know? She said with a smile, which made Issei shriek like one of his entire girls. Issei, what's with all that racket? If you're doing anything it should be becoming a kendo champ again. His mother stated as she was walking up to his room. That made Issei go from oh sheet to the dash, and Issei quickly grabbed a cover. Quick, put this on now please. Why? Questioned Rius as she crossed her legs. Because if you don't my mom will start planning the baby shower. Issei stated as he tried to give her the cover, but in a second of pure brilliance Issei tripped. Issei, stop making so much catch, his mom said as she opened up the door. Now from what it looked like to his mom, Issei was giving her the sex. With that Issei's mom closed the door and yelled, Hooray! Our son's got a girlfriend. We can start on him moving out now. You better not be joking this time because last time I tried moving his stuff, Issei stole my wallet and gave it back after he paid for his DMN pawn magazine collection. If I were to do it, I wonder how long would it take to be unconscious from just stuffing my face into Rius's melons. He though, while trying not to be embarrassed by the fact his parents got the wrong idea about Rius and him. Oh wait, that's right. Rius is in my room naked. And why can't I, as hard as I try, not remember what I did last night? What type of a-hole can't remember their time with a naked girl? Your parents seem like nice people. Rius says as she gets up to put on her clothes, also breaking Issei from his thoughts. Yeah, if they lived in opposite town. Issei would have said if he wasn't taking in this beautiful sight of a girl getting dressed into his mind. He would take this sight in more, but something else stopped him from doing so. Hey, can you help me with my bra? Those words made Issei instantly move without him even thinking about it, and he began to do what Rius asked of him. Almost like Issei was like her servant. Issei scoffed at that notion though. Anyway, how does your tummy feel? Was a question Rius somehow made it hot and made Issei want to lose his virginity then and there, if he had not already lost his virginity and can't remember it. Seeing the normal expression of Issei, that is his vacant look of not understanding the situation, Rius continued, you know where you got stabbed. I just thought that was a crazy dream. Then Issei realized he had barely began to help out Rius with her bra, so he immediately began to work on that, tuning out her for a moment or two. Do you dream those types of dreams normally? Rius asked, more concerned than ever. Rius was sure that Issei probably had some dark past going on. And the reason Issei thought it wasn't a dream was that he had actually dealt with more when he was a kid, and that would also explain why Issei would make this facade of being a pervert. I mean, who would just go around being a perv for no reason? Yes, that was Rius's headcanon, and she will stick with that. When Issei finished helping Rius with her bra, she got really close to Issei and said, "Issei, can I ask you another question?" "Sure, what is it?" came from the still somewhat dazed Issei. "If the question is, would you like to motorboat my melons please? That's a gigantic hell yeah. Why'd you let that fallen angel guy beat you up?" Rius asked concerned. "Fallen angel?" repeated Issei. "What's that? Don't act like you don't know." "I never act. I only do." Sad to say, that was actually true. Even when Issei was a prodigy, he was always a bit brash. Why is Issei acting like he doesn't know? Oh, now I get it. It was so obvious, I can't believe I never saw that coming before. Rius thought with a smile. He's testing me, of course. Then Rius made her way to the door. "Well, anyway, school's starting soon. Meet us at our club, okay?" "Okay," came from a confused Issei. Then Issei followed suit and went out his door ready to eat food. Too bad he forgot to put on clothes. XXX lazy transition sex. Oh, never mind the thought of how Issei could be revived. Rainier needed to think about the important stuff, like why she killed Issei. She wouldn't want to kill Issei without a good reason. No, she would never be a bitch, especially to Issei. Because as it turns out, Rainier began to kinda like Issei, faults and all. True, she knows most of his faults by observing him, but Rainier liked him anyways. Too bad Issei didn't know Rainier's true name. She could tell Issei had the eyes of, "Why'd you do this to me, Yuma?" as he died. Or that could just be the eyes of death. They look so similar to Rainier. Anyways, why was Issei killed? Well, Rainier could tell just by looking at Issei that he would be able to summon his power. Now Rainier didn't know if she was supposed to stop him or not. She blamed her leader's bad briefing method. She could say that she did it cause of that, but that's not the true reason. The real reason was she might have to stop stalking observing him if he could do that. That meant goodbye to that happy face of Issei's, or the times Rainier would count how long Issei would have fun time. She even would miss Issei talking to his friends. Except Aika, she's a slut. But Rainier knew this totally couldn't backfire on her at all. That's why she decided to stay with some of the local fallen angels, who probably couldn't even harm Issei if he somehow got resurrected. Ugh, I'm back from fighting the Gremory family. Danasik, a fellow fallen angel, says, "Why were you fighting Rius Gremory and her peerage?" asked Rainier. "Because I tried to kill their new devil, Issei, I think his name is," stated the male fallen angel. Now Rainier must also plan a funeral for Danasik as well. Then she would find Issei and stalk him. XXX lazy transition sex. Maybe this was all a dream I got and I'm still asleep. Issei concluded in his mind. Then immediately he thought back on those grade SSS melons of Rius and began to grin. If it is a dream, I never want to wake up. "Oh, thinking of me, aren't you, darling?" came a voice Issei didn't want to hear. "I take it back, this is a nightmare," Issei stated. "Oh no. You're having nightmare, dear? It must be that headache you were having yesterday. You know, I heard having SEC solves nightmares," she remarks with a very lewd grin. "By the way, that fact isn't true." "Probably. Is that so? I'll be sure to test that out on a person if I can find one," responds Issei. "I'm always ready for you, Issei." "Alright, let's do it, but first find a volcano. Because that's the only thing on the earth that can match our hot level of lovemaking," concluded Aika. "Nope. It's because if we have it, I want us both to be in agony," Issei confirms. "I love how you are so considerate of both of our feelings in our relationship." "I'm as considerate as you are a saint," Issei mumbles. "And you're even telling me I'm a saint. You sure know your way to my heart," she says as she hides her blush in fake embarrassment. "Then I'd like to return it or sell it to someone else. Too bad it's permanent until the day we both die." Gore. Issei could tell this day was going to be a long day. XXX lazy transition sex. It was certainly going to be a long day. For Rainier. Mostly because first she has to report the death of a fallen angel to someone, Then she needs to make up an excuse for why said fallen angel is dead. Thirdly, she would need to find Issei and make sure he's alive. After that, she would use all her money on Issei and her to move to the Bahamas. She could almost see it now, her Issei and all of Issei's pawn mags. Which also reminded her she needed to put her face all over the mags. That way Reiner would always be on Issei's mind. This was the point Reiner thought she was going to be a little OOC and also creepy. She didn't care though, because now that she could finally leave with Issei forever. A light sword was swung quickly in front of Reiner's face, which she dodged just in time. Oh, and she still had to kill her comrade first. She completely forgot that he was still alive. Reiner quickly used her weapon of light against Donasik, who quickly blocked it with his own. What the hell, Reiner, why are you killing me? I only said 2 things when I came back from a huge butt kicking. Donasik yelled as he tried to at least get an understanding of why. But to no avail, it didn't change Reiner's mind as she kept on charge into Donasik and made him crash into a wall. You know what you did? You shouldn't have tried to kill Issei. The new devil guy? Come on, you killed him yourself. From all of what I know is that your mission was to observe him and you only met him once. Do you really know anything about him? Donasik replied as he used his wings to soar into the sky and try to attack Reiner from the high grounds, but Reiner had her own wings and was able to make sure Dohansik's blade would hurt her for only a minuscule of damage. I know he always brushes his teeth at 7:34 every single day. Reiner retorts as she dashes to Donasik and catches him off guard and kicks him again. I also know he keeps 12 stashes of pawn. And that's only in his room. That's kinda creepy. I wish you hadn't told me that, complained a disturbed Donasik. Too bad, now die. And she began to go up to the air and dive really fast in order to kill Donasik. Wait. And so Reiner did. What? Are you really going to kill me after all we've been through? You're right, I remember when we first met. Came a solemn Reiner. Flashback. Hi, I'm Reiner. I just killed a guy named Issei and I'm going to stay in this town for a bit. Past Reiner says to past Donasik. Cool names, Donasik. Flashback end. That was yesterday, yelled Donasik. Because we only met yesterday, responded Reiner. Oh yeah. Donasik realized. I'm going to die now, aren't I? And then Reiner began to look for Issei. After she attended whoever she just killed's funeral. XXX lazy transitioning sex. Issei felt like he just went to watch an anime, but it had no skimpy clothes or skirts that would be able to flow with the wind. Boring. It was without a doubt Issei would rather be jacking off than at school. Sure, that was him most days, but he still stands by that statement. Hell, he would do most things than rather go to schools. Going on a date with Aika was still in the air, though. Speaking of Aika, Issei was glad to hear her say, "Sorry dear, I have some stuff to do at home, so I can't do anything with you. I know you must be heartbroken, so I secretly gave you a dirty picture of me to cheer you up. Now don't waste it, it's one of a kind." Issei immediately threw the photo into the trash. He was glad that Aika wouldn't bug him this afternoon. He wasn't going to be bugged by Matsuda because he was taking photos of women in their underwear or without didn't matter to him. Mathama was doing the most important of them all. Nudes of celebrities got released, I gotta download them before people take it down. He was doing God's work. Now Issei can go home without a single interruptee. "Oh my God, he's here," said an overactive girl. "He looked towards my direction," came another excited girl. "That smile," a third girl swooned. "Oh God, no, not him." Thought Issei. My day was going to be one of my best, but now that Deech is even mentioned, his day turns to a 0. 'Cause every time that man passes by, girls immediately swoon over him and try to make sure Issei doesn't even try to look at him. Well, Issei didn't care that much, he did wish that girls would fall for him. Issei scoffed at that idea. That'll never happen. The man's name is Kiba Yudo. "Excuse me, girls. As much as I would love to talk to you sweet girls," the Deech began to say, making Issei's hatred grow more and more. Issei hoped that guy would just leave and stay away from him for the rest of Issei's life. Fact, Issei never even talked to him before, and as long as Issei lives he hopes to never talk to him ever. "I'd actually need to see Issei," Kiba says with an unwavering smile. What? What? Say sis. No, Kiba, don't let him contaminate you with his perviness. Pervertedness is now a disease? Issei thought monotonically. Can someone invent the cure so I can give it to Aika? I'll be fine, don't worry. Kiba reassured the girls. Issei, would you come with me please? Rius is waiting. There's no way on earth I'd be seen with this goo. Wait, Rius is waiting for me? Issei then got his natural perverted grin and told Kiba to lead the way, and then Issei would get to see the beautiful woman with awesome melons. Hell yeah. XXX lazy transitioning sex. K-Tace came up with a brilliant plan. So brilliant she left class as soon as she could to set it up, just in case Issei would escape her diligent eyes in order to avoid their rematch. She placed a pawn mag inconspicuously over a large laundry basket. When Issei wants to pick up the magazine, Katsi would then pull an inconspicuous large rope, and that would then make the basket fall on Issei, forcing him to battle her. The plan was brilliant. She even tested it with Aika, who wanted the mag so she could bribe Issei out on a date, and Motohama and Matsuda wanted the mag for professional use only. Needless to say, Katsi had to fight for the mag in order to get it back for the plan each time she tested it. This time you aren't getting out of it with a faked headache, Issei. This time I will beat you. All she needed to do was wait. At any moment he would come out those doors. There would be no reason for him not to unless he had a club, which she was sure he didn't have. He would leave the school at any second now. Right? XXX lazy transitioning sex. We're here. The prince charming enough to go die in a hole announced to Issei. Kiba had took Issei to a old rundown school. Now let's get things straight, it's not like Issei didn't know how sketchy it sounds, but he was promised melons. Okay, that somehow made it sound worse. He decided to open up the doors anyways, and to his surprise he saw a beautiful girl. The girl was a Issei immediately knew. Her name was Kaneko. She was grade A mascot material. Too bad she doesn't seem to be talkative, or she would be very popular. A ton of boys want to break her shyness and show her how popular she can be. Then she would have SEC with them. Issei was basically in the same pool as the other guys, but he thought it would be better if her BRST grew a bit more. Then Issei would be at cloud 9. So that's Kaneko, huh? Issei stated somewhat at disbelief. He met this idolized girl. Oh, you know Kaneko? She's a wonderful recruit even though she's only a first year, Kiba informs. Who asked you for anything? Issei questioned in his mind. He then looked back to Kaneko, who was eating sweets. Demon, I wish I was that piece of chocolate. As if she could mind read, she looked at him, and Issei quickly looked away. Now he was focused on finding some else to distract him. Then he noticed a curtain of sorts. It also appeared that water was coming out from somewhere. Rius, I'll be putting the spare clothes at the usual spot. Another woman had told Rius. Thanks, Akino, came a voice that was like Rius, and it was coming from over the other side of the curtain. Now this information took Issei a while to digest. Like it took Issei a long time. Rius is taking a shower. Sign me up, Issei gasped out loud in surprise. He could die right now in here. For real this time. You shouldn't eavesdrop, lectured Kaneko monotonously. Which snapped Issei out of super perv mode. Oh, I didn't notice we had the new member here already. Came from Akino, who had voice that could easily be mistaken for a seductress. And Issei was already seduced. He didn't even notice her too majestic BRST yet. Don't worry, everyone here is really nice. I'm Akino, the vice president of the club. And nice to meet melons you, stuttered a flustered Issei. Don't worry, I'm not always this weird. Since I'm not near such a beauty like this all the time. Which I hope said beauty has a ton of naked pillow fights with Rius. If not, I'll be serverily disappointed in the world. Then he realized how close he was to Akino. I'm sorry, I didn't realize how close I was, Akino, I'll just step back a lit dash. That's when Issei accidentally bumped into Kaneko, who just so happens was trying to get more sweets. When Issei turned to help Kaneko, he saw a sight you would see in manga. A girl with her panties showing. The next moment, Issei with a bit of blood running down his nose. This club is awesome, I can see bub and panties. Although Kiba laughed, it was more out of pity than anything else. He wondered what Rius saw in this lewd boy, but he wasn't one to question her choices too much. He also wasn't one to do much of anything that often. Akino also laughed. She heard the rumors, but she didn't think they were that true, that he was a blatant pervert. Well, she was proven wrong, but this might be more fun for her. Kaniko's response was a very subtle response. She tried to knock him out. The word of the day is tried. Issei saw the girl trying to punch him and something kicked in him and he moved away. Impressive, complimented Kiba, who was astounded that Issei could block that. Issei didn't respond back to him. Instead, Issei said this, "Hi." Everyone in the room looked at him in somewhat confusion. Even Akino didn't really know what he meant by that. "Your punch was high," Issei restated, directing his speech to Kaniko. "What do you mean?" she asked, wondering why he changed how he acted. This time Issei didn't respond with words, he responded to what any man would probably not do. "Flip Kaniko's skirt." Kaniko, who was embarrassed but somehow kept most of her composure, tried to punch Issei again. This time Issei was able to grab the punch in mid-attack. "You punched too high enough for me not to move my eyes much to trace your hand," Issei stated in a know-it-all type of tone. "If you punch a bit lower, I'd then have to follow said punch and it would take me less time to react." This astounded everyone in the room. Kaniko never saw a problem in how she punched. In fact, she didn't think it was able to be countered or even blocked. Akino's smile grew large. She clearly couldn't wait to find out more about Issei. Kiba also smiled. Maybe this was the reason Issei was an alright purse. No," Issei yelled, getting everyone's attention. "I did it, didn't I?" "Did what?" Kaniko asked. What could he have done that was so bad? Whenever I see something that can be improved, I immediately go into this type of state where I then explain what you can do, Issei explains frantically. The others all nod in understanding, still not really seeing the reason he yelled. "I also don't remember anything, so if I did something perverted, I couldn't keep that as a mental image later on in life." Now they all felt like they knew who Issei was and why Rius chose him. He was a pervert who loves melons, sure, but he knows what he's doing. Speaking of big melons, Yusti, then Rius Gremory got out of the shower. "I'm sorry, but I didn't have time to take a shower before I left your place," apologized Rius. "I knew it. Issei was actually pretending to be a pervert. In reality, he is super strong and very talented. I almost had my doubts, but now I believe Issei's just trying to make people think he's just a pervert." "No, don't worry, your CC, I mean good," reassured Issei. "Well, now that everyone looks like they are here, let's get started." "Come on, Erwin. We're almost there," a young boy called out to his friend. He looked to be about 7 or younger. He and his friend were climbing the mountain of doom. Actually, it was only a small hill. To their eyes, though, it was an arduous journey that only the bravest of the brave could even think of trying to conquer it. "I see. I just want my juice," complained Erwin as he also climbed the mountain. "Come on, step it up, Erwin. If we believe in each other, I know we can conquer this mountain," encouraged Issei, who also shined the stolen juice box in front Erwin. "Also, don't call me Issei." "Then you stop calling me Erwin," retorted Erwin as the kid tried with all that could be mustered to catch up to A, but to no avail. The box would be forever in the captives of A. He quickly brushed off Erwin's suggestion. "Erwin sounds much more strong and tough for you. I need a strong partner if I'm ever going to defeat the demons." "Yes, you heard Issei right. He wanted to fight demons." Scratch that he had to fight the demons. 'Cause as it stands, him and only a select few new demons actually exist. Since almost no person knew the existence of the demons, he knew it was up to him and his companion he'll meet along the way to defeat all the demons. At least that's what the cartoons he watched tell him, of course. Nevertheless, as he was always diligent in becoming a hero destined to defeat the demons, so he trained every day. Sometimes, like today, his partner in crime, Erwin, would accompany him, but they would rarely go as far as Issei did when he trained alone. While Issei did wish Erwin would be a bit more stronger like himself, he was fine with it. It beats not having an ally at all. All the other boys never wanted to hang out with him. If they did want to, it would be because of demon possession, and he quickly knocked them over the head with his shurnai. Needless to say, he got suspended. A lot. "I don't understand why the demons get to call you by your real name, but it's okay for them to call me Erwin," complained the sidekick in the making as they kept on climbing. "It's like you don't even know my real name." "That's silly talk, Erwin," Issei stated. No, it wasn't. Upon their second or third meeting of each other, Issei forgot Owen's actual name and decided to bluff. Luckily, Owen thought it was a nickname, so Owen gave Issei his own nickname. Because when I'm fighting the big bad bosses, it would sound total lame when they say my nickname instead of my real name. What about when I fight? Asked Erwin. That'll never happen when I'm around. I'll always be able to fight so I can protect you and the world. She proclaimed. Me? And the world? So you count me differently than any other person? Owen restated. If you could see Erwin, you would see tears forming. Also, you would see Erwin clenching to the grass as he was climbing for dear life. Well, of course. You are my partner after all. Issei confirmed. But what type of partner doesn't fight? Complained Erwin. You'll fight. Not the big bad bosses, but you'll fight. Issei answered. I mean, come on, how did Erwin not understand that? All great people that weren't the main characters would do this. Like, for example. Issei had no examples, but did he have to? No, 'cause he was the main character. And all main characters are dumb. That sounds lame. Erwin replies. Well, you're lame. Issei teases. Gore, growled Erwin. Calm down, Erwin, I'm only Tiwo. With that, Erwin charged at E with full force, making them both lose the balance. Issei was so afraid they did all that progress of climbing and didn't make it to the top. If only he could have saved beforehand. But for some reason or another they landed on the top on the hill. We made it. We made it to the Mountain of Doom. Owen shouted happily. Which at that made Issei laugh. What's so funny? That. Issei pointed at another hill. That was the Mountain of Doom. This is the Mountain of Doom Plus. What? Really? Exclaimed a surprised Erwin. Did they really climb this much? See, bud. Issei grinned as he laughed. I knew you could have done this from the start. You knew I could do this? Repeated an awestruck Erwin. Of course. You think I would just pick a random person to be my partner? Issei asked. Kind of, yeah. Owen answers. You don't seem to have many friend dash. Anyway, I knew you could do great things like this. Soon climbing won't even be a problem. Issei. Anyways, here is your reward. Issei then hands the stolen juice back to the rightful owner, who swiftly takes it and gulps it down till the liquid is gone. Hey, it felt lighter than before. Did you drink most of it? Accused Erwin. Well, all that climbing took a lot out of me, reasoned I. Pouted Erwin. Hey, don't be like that, man, he pleaded. It's almost time. Time for what? Erwin trailed. Then Erwin saw it. Big Melon's high school students, in what looked like to be a tight uniform, running along the road just a little ways from here. Melons were swaying side to side and sweat was pouring off of the girls. Erwin turned to Issei, who was looking at the girls with a smile on his face. Erwin felt a tang of jealousy for not being Issei's main attention. Erwin, with a big old blush, almost yelled at Issei, What are you looking at? It's a marvelous sight, no? Issei replies while still having most of his attention towards the girls. Issei, are those really the type of girls you're interested in looking at? A flustered Erwin interrogates. Absolutely. Issei replies with almost no time needed. Such a fast response, thought a shocked Erwin. What did Issei see in those girls that were so mesmerizing? Wait, could it be the big bust? They have such a great workout routine. Wait, what? What? Owen asked, now unsure what Issei was talking about. What routine is there for big melonsed woman that Erwin didn't know? They are a part of the track team at that all-girls academy, Crow Academy, I believe? Issei stated. But isn't school on break? Why do they have to practice? Owen questions. That's what makes them so cool. They are showing up for practice even though they are on break. I've been watching them every now and then, and I realize they improved so much over the span of 1 month. It makes me wonder how good we'll be at that age if we keep on training for the rest of our years before then. Issei gushed out, clearly excited of the fact of training. Issei, Owen says. I'm so sorry. Why? Because I thought your reason for coming here was to look at the girl's chest. Those things? Issei replies in a disgusted tone. They don't even look like they can help in training, they look more like distractions. They seem to be completely useless. I know I'll never like the big things on women. The only upside to having a big chest is that it can entice old men, don't know why though. But keep that in mind if we have to fight an old man demon. So, would you say you prefer smaller chests? Owen asked curiously. Most definitely. It seems to be more useful in combat. Big chest on woman will only slow them down, he states, and then they stared at the girls in silence for a bit. Hey Ise, Owen says, breaking the silence. Yeah, Owen. Ise replies. If I'm calling you Issei, why don't you call me by mine, Irina, Owen says. Oh sure, I mean Irina, Ise responds. Oh yeah, that's why I can't remember his name. It sounds too girly for it not to be a girl's name. It's not like I'll tell him that though. I also want to know something, Issei. Erwin begins to ask. Which is what, Erwin? Irina. Sorry, let me try that again. Ise apologizes. Which is what, Irwina? Owen sighs. It's Irina, Thow in it. I swear it's like you don't know my name. Anyways, I want to ask about the demons. What about them? Ise asks, excited to talk about the enemy. Do you actually believe in them? Owen asks. Like, do you think they are truly real? Well, Ise began. Of course. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to fight them, right? Are you really? Owen asks. 100% yeah, proclaimed Ise. No demon is going to survive when I'm around. Good. Looks like we're on the same side there. What? XXX lazy transition sex. That was what was going on in Issei's mind as he was just told about the truth of the world. Demons or devils exist. Not to mention angels and fallen angels exist too. But more importantly, devils exist. And Issei was one of them. Devils are evil, yes, but they seem to have an order of sorts. Issei was filled in at least of the parts of being Rius's servant. Issei didn't mind too much since she had a good personality. And her melons were outstanding. I mean, did you see them? Issei did in the morning and right after Rius took a shower. So Issei was fine being a devil. Even if it meant fighting. Now don't say fighting didn't scare Issei shitless, cause it did. Like a ton. Knowing how easily he lost to the two fallen angels he fought against. But somehow melons made it better. Yuma was one of the fallen angels. She killed Issei for a power he had. She also erased the memories of herself and everyone around the target. Rius called it the He wasn't paying attention to her face at that moment in time. If anyone asks why, he will say devil's melons have magnetic waves that are sent to the brain of a male and that male is forced to look at said melons. That'll be his response, but it's not true. Issei thinks it's not, at least. If it was true, then Issei would have an excuse to look at melons. Not that he needed one, he'd look at melons regardless. He'd motorboat any girl's melons. Issei? The redhead said, trying to get the pervert's attention. Yes, my darling titties? I mean Rius, answered a somewhat lewd-thinking Issei, who was still looking at Rius's melons. Pervert. Kaneko stated, looking at Issei dully. Which upon hearing this made Issei feel hurt and aroused. It's fine, Kaneko. Rius reassured her friend. He probably made a mistake. I mean, titties and Rius do sound alike. No, they don't. But this is coming from a delusional devil. She had to be kidding herself if she thought Issei, the renowned pervert, was actually a strong ultimate hero in disguise. Anyways, Issei, you have summoned your sacred gear before, right? If so, may you show us it then? But what? Issei asked, standing there dumbfounded. What could she be talking about? Could it be she was talking about little Issei? Don't get me wrong, I would gladly show her little Issei in a heartbeat. But Kiba's here. I'm fine with other girls, but I don't want another man to look at my junk. She's talking about the power that fallen angel was after, Akino informed. That gear is one of the strongest gears I know. So you having that gear makes you kinda a big deal to us. She said the last part seductively, making Issei's sacred gear begin to take form. Issei quickly tried to submerge the idea of Akino acting like a beautiful CC older women with Issei in bed. He did try to keep that in mind for later though. Man, that girl seems nice. I wonder who would be in charge if we ever did do the deed, me or her. Both ways are both so tantalizing. Issei not with that dude in the room. While Issei had his head in the clouds full of melons, with his standard pervy grin. Akino thought, this new guy is interesting. Fufufu, I want to know how much pain he can deal and how much he can receive. So, Issei, have you summoned your sacred gear before? Rius continued, surprised that Issei nodded his no. Could it be that he was stronger than I previously thought He has been so strong that he had no reason to use his sacred gear? Now I can only think what will happen with the sacred gear active. Okay, raise your left hand. Now focus on what part you think is the strongest. Issei did as he was asked and began to think on what part of him was the strongest. What is his strongest part? Obvious answer is his D, but Issei wasn't sure what was going to happen, so he didn't want his D to disappear or anything. His left hand is his dominant hand when it comes to sword fighting, but his right arm is his fapping hand. Arg. This is too hard. I can't think of which body part is the strongest. Maybe I'll ask Rius. He began to open his eyes and started to talk, Rius I. But stopped when he realized he could see Rius's almost see-through panties. What is it, Issei? Rius naively asked. Before Issei could boom up with a most likely terrible excuse, a letter appeared from what seemed like magic. Rius began to open it and read it, while Issei stopped staring at Rius's melons. What? He knew when not to stare at melons. Most of the time he would still stare at them anyways, but seeing Rius not have a smile freaked him out a bit. Well, Issei, I guess now is the time you'll get to showcase your abilities. Abilities? Issei asked. Sure, he used to be talented, but he stopped being so talented when he was like almost, Lady Rius, is it a stray devil? Kino asked, also serious. Rius replied with a nod, then she turned to Issei. Issei, do you have a weapon you use in fights? Yeah, I did practice kendo for about 7 years in my life. I started competing in national tournaments my second year of starting. I believe I was 6 at the time. Issei pondered, since it has been a while since he worked on his talents. This, besides Rius, stunned everyone in this room. This pervert is skilled in kendo? Was going through their minds at the time. Sure, they did see him dodge Kaniko's punches, but they had no idea he was talented in other ways as well. Why was a pervert this talented? Kiba was the first to snap out of it. He then pulled out a sword out of thin air, or at least that's what Issei thought. Here, Issei used the sword. I assume you didn't bring a sword yourself, did you? Issei quickly takes the sword and says, I don't, but thanks, I guess. No problem, the Gremory family has to stick out for each other, you know. Kiba said with his trademark shounen pretty boy smile. You know the one. This sword doesn't seem to be made that bad. Issei thought as he swung it back and forth to test it out. And this is a huge, but hey, it's Kiba's sword, so I must get rid of it as soon as possible. I'll make sure I'll have no need for a sword I received from a deech. Are you now ready, Issei? Rius questioned, then receiving a nod from the lovable pervert. XXX lazy transitioning sex. So stray devils are just like servants, right? Issei asked as he and the others reappeared from a portal. They start out as ones, but they usually kill their master to gain freedom. Kiba replies. This is where the stray has been leading people and eating them, Akino said, pointing at an old building. I take it not in a SXL ways, responds Issei as he walks towards the building along with the others. Oh no, answers Kiba the deech. These monsters only care about their selfish desires, and it ends with ugliness. Kinda like perverts, wouldn't you say? Kaniko states, clearly glaring at Issei, making Issei feel bad. In reality, Kaniko took this low blow because she was upset over the fact that this guy could even see a problem with her punches. In Issei's reality, Issei, you blew it. You shouldn't have done whatever you did when you were trying to fix her punch. She now thinks you're a perv. I mean, she's not wrong in any way, shape, or form, but now she'll keep dissing you. Please don't tell me she'll be like Katsi, but with no emotions and less melons. XXX lazy transitioning sex. It's night time and everyone at Kuo Academy has left. Except for Katsi, who fell asleep waiting for Issei. She then woke up from a sneeze. Achoo! Ugh, is someone talking about me? Asks a groggy Katsi. Nah, it's probably 'cause it's cold this night. Issei better show up or he'll have to take responsibility for what he's done to me. Geez, making me wait, what's he even doing that's so important right now anyway? It better not be staring at a naked woman. XXX lazy transitioning sex. Issei was staring at a naked woman. Big melons, yes. Issei shouted in triumph. It was a naked woman from Issei could see. No clothes, no panties. However, he couldn't see the lower half or he was just occupied. I knew I smelled something bad, Rius, the big Tidwai woman comments. But I smell something delicious as well. I wonder sweet or bitter. Couldn't they be both? Questioned Issei. Like at first it's sweet then it's bit, whoa. Issei was cut off by the woman swinging her arms at him. And like the man Issei is, he hid behind a little girl. Man up, states Kaneko, still monotoned. Is this guy really that talented? Visser, Rius states, clearly not paying attention to Issei being a wimp because it would mess with her headcanon. You wench. How dare you kill your master just for your lustful desires? Seriously, she ponders. Who in their right mind would solely live on lustful desires? It's a good thing my peerage are not even close on probably doing that. Issei especially. Oh, give it a rest, you beach. She state, you've always had it out for me because of my Lucius B. I don't think that's true, Rius. Issei states, trying to comfort her. Why am I lying? Those melons are amazing, but if I better not be a huge D to the girl who saved my life though. Thanks, Issei. Rius replies with a smile. Anyways, Visser, go back to your family or face the wrath of the Gremory family. I'd choose the slaughter option. Visser replies, and revealing her gigantic forelegs and a stomach that looks like it could open up. What is that? Issei yelled, shocked by her appearance. Like I said, the monsters always ends in ugly. Kiba told him. Horrible joke. Wasn't even a dirty one. Issei thought, but she had a good set of melons too. Then Visser begins to squeeze her melons and, sighs she, I kid you not, shoots acid out of her melons. I wish that was just a joke, but no, it's real. Ugh, this is starting to look like a bad porno, says Issei, who only narrowly escaped the melon's acid. Rius, may I? Kiba asks. No, go ahead, Kiba. With that, Kiba vanished. Kiba disappeared. Issei stated, not really having much value to say right now. No, he didn't, Issei, he just moved really fast. Rius responds, Issei, you know chess, right? Yeah, played it for 5 years. Was really good at it but never participated in tournaments. Issei answers. Well, Devil's peerage system kinda works like that, Rius informs. Except we call them evil pieces. Kiba is my knight. Meaning? Gosh, Issei is really sticking to his naive rookie persona, isn't he? Rius pondered. Well, Kiba's attribute is speed and his ultimate attack is sword. Then Kiba immediately slices up both of Visser's front legs. Wow! Says a stunned Issei. Then he realizes Visser's stomach opened up and looked like it was about to consume Kaneko. Kaneko, look out! But he was too late. Issei was about to charge in after her, but Rius stopped him. Don't worry, Kaneko is my rook. And just like that, Kaneko broke apart the teeth like entrance like a mother freaker. Which means she has an immense amount of strength that is almost unrivaled. Whoa, Issei says. I can see her bra and panties right now. I'm starting to like being a devil more and more. See you never. Kaneko yells as she punches the monster into a wall. All right, now it's your turn, Issei, Rius tells him. Right? Nodded Issei, about to run in there to help fight. Wait, what? Don't worry, Issei, I believe in you. With that, Rius pushed Issei into the battle. Another pest. The monster groaned. As she tried to swing, but Issei dodged it in the nick of time. Now Issei would like to think he was stronger than most. But he knew he wasn't invincible, and he knew when he couldn't win. When it comes to fighting supernatural and women who can shout acid out of their melons, you can kinda see where he feels like he should run. And that's what he did. Ooh, how did you know I love a moving victim? Visser then proceeded to chase Issei, while squirting acid. Needless to say, Issei was having a tough time running. Issei, what are you doing? Yelled Rius. Use your sword. Even if I did use my sword skills, I don't think I'm fast enough to do any damage, Issei responded in his mind. Damn it. Why don't I have speed like Kiba? Also, why does Rius think I can handle this? The only training I've been doing for 5 years is Melon Studies 101. What's Issei doing? Rius asked aloud. I thought Issei would be done in like 3 seconds. Do you really think that highly of Issei? Kiba wondered. Sure, he was talented, but as far as from what Kiba and the others saw, he wasn't as strong as devils such as Kaneko or himself. Of course, I know Issei is actually stronger than me, or maybe even my brother, claimed Rius. Based on what? Kiba questioned. Rius didn't respond. Not because something interesting happened, just because she really didn't have an example of Issei being super strong. Now let's look back at Issei, who now has his back against a wall. I'm going to die. Again, Issei thought, looking around for anything to help him. Looks like this is the end of the line for you, stupid low-life devil. The stray devil, readying her BRCS to shoot out acid once more. Then Issei saw it and went for it. He threw his sword that he borrowed at Visser. She quickly dodged. Missed. Or did I? Yeah, you did. Visser states. No, I didn't actually, he explained. It sure looked like you did, she says, feeling skeptical. No, he sighs. You see, what I actually intended to happen was dash. The chandelier from the ceiling came crashing down along with Issei's sword, crushing Visser underneath. Good plan, Issei, compliments Rius, believing this all to been a plan from the start. Now leave this to Akino. Oh, is it my turn now? How nice, Akino says as she waltzes on over to the immobilized monster. Then out of the corner of Issei's eye he see the legs that were previously cut off begin to move and attack Rius. Rius, look out! Issei shouted, running towards Rius to save her. Rius immediately burnt the legs to a crisp with magic. Don't worry about me, Issei. I'm sure this is only a walk in the park for you, Rius tells him. Now let us look at Akino, my queen. Newsflash, Visser, I too like to play rough. So let's finish this with a bang. Akino said while summoning lighting from magic. Akino is my queen, she has perfect balanced attributes along all my other pieces. Rius states. Not to mention she's into sand and play. This violence is making me so excited. Akino states as she licks her lip. Wait, really? She gets off on this? Asked a way too excited Issei. Yep. Wow. Akino, I think that's enough. Rius informs her queen. Over already, Akino pouts, clearly not satisfied. Rius then walks to the beaten-up Visser. Any last words before we end this? Go to hell. Visser mutters clearly at the last of her breaths. Not really a bad thing since we're, devils, Issei points out, and before Visser could come up with a new insult, Rius used her magic to kill the stray. Now let's go home. Rius states with everyone else nodding in agreement. Wait a sec, Rius. Issei says, obtaining the interest of Rius. What piece am I? Oh, you're my pawn. Rius tells him. What? I'm the most useless piece. Issei thinks in his mind. XXX lazy transition sex. Well, I think that's enough for today. Rius states as soon as they reappear back to the Occult Research Club. Rius, I have one more questions. Says. I know I became one of your servants, but how? Oh, that's an easy one, Rius claims. She then brings up a flyer that Issei recognizes. That flyer I got. Yes, these flyers are what we devils make a deal with humans with. You summon me with your thoughts. You, in your final breaths, made me want to recruit you to my peerage, thus making you an honorary member of the Gremory household. She states, and her devil wings appear. Issei seems shocked by this and even displays more shock when everyone, counting himself, in the room shows their devil wings as well. Any more questions? And no, Issei replies a little shaken up. Alright, now that I think about it, I have one more thing for you to do, Issei. Rius says, XXX lazy transition sex. I can't believe I have to pass out flyers in the middle of the night, Issei grumbled in his mind, as he walked to the entrance of the school. Then again, if I do an amazing job as a servant, I can get a ton of loyal servants of my own. And they might even do whatever I say. Calm down, Issei, you're drooling. He then began to walk out of the school, but he realized something. A pawn mag in plain sight. He quickly nabbed the pawn mag without any trouble. That was way easier than I imagined it would be. He then began to leave again. Sit. Lose. A girl who Issei could assume was Katsi mumbled in her sleep. Was that girl that eager to fight me? Issei asks aloud. He then picked up Katsi and put her on his back. Score. Her melons are touching me. Now to escort this girl home and then time to get a step closer to Harem King. He then got on his bike and began to drop off Katsi. Now if I remember, Katsi lives around Hiwo. Issei was cut off mid-thought by another fallen angel. That makes 3 in a row now. 2 more times and he'll get a bingo. You're not who I thought you would look like, but you are definitely the now I'm searching for, the lady fallen angel says. So you're the man who killed Donasika? Well, it was nice knowing you, but I must kill you. My name's Calawarner. Damn it. Not another one. And I already gave my sword back to Kiba. I can't even run with Katsi, so I have to fight like a man, Issei thought as he settled down Katsi gently. As expected of one of the Gremory household, but too bad you must be destroyed. She then proceeds to throw a weapon made of light at Issei. Demon IR. I'm going to die a second time and there's nothing I can do, thought Issei in shock. Screw it. If I'm going to die, it'll be a bad but way. He then raised his left hand and it started to glow. And it summoned something on his left arm that used its power to blast away the fallen angel and tear her clothes off. The fallen angel immediately retreated. Wow, that was way easy, but is this what Rius was talking about when she said sacred gear? XXX lazy transitioning sex. It is the gear, yes, Rius explained. Now you can turn it on and off, since you activate it once. Thank goodness. Issei sighed in relief. That was going to be bad for my alone time if I couldn't deactivate it. Nevertheless, good job, Issei, Rius compliments. But make sure if the fallen angels attack you, get our attention. You don't have to fight alone anymore. Right. Issei nods in affirmation. Now if you excuse me, it's time for me to go to bed. Alright, good night, Issei. Rius smiles as Issei leaves. Akino then comes up to Rius and says, while it's nice of you to encourage him, you make it sound like he had it all under control. From what I saw, he's just a talented pervert. Heh. Rius scoffed. Actually, Akino, that was all an act. He's actually probably the strongest person I know. Ah, really? She asked, not at all believing her. Yes, really. Rius then went on to tell Akino her beliefs on what type of person Issei truly is. XXX lazy transition sex. Man, yesterday sure was something, Issei thought as he walked to school, alone surprisingly. It was nice that Rius was so supportive of me. I wonder why. Ooh, a girl, dressed up in a nun outfit, screamed as she fell down. While she may or may not be a nun, Issei still gawked at her white panties. Oh no, I tripped again. Who are you, sir? And thus began a friendship of sorts.